Hello and welcome back to Katie's Business Tips. Glad to be with you. In this video series, so to speak, we're talking about shares, shareholders, and corporations, and we're going to get into shareholders meetings today. So a shareholders meetings allows shareholders to obtain information about the corporation's business and make appropriate decisions regarding the business. Now that will typically be laid out in the articles to appoint and in the shareholders agreement. A shareholder has a right to attend and vote at the meeting depending on the rights attached to their shares. Do your shares say they're voting shares? And if so, how many votes do you receive? The director must notify the voting shareholders of the time and place of the shareholders meeting. They must do so no more than 60 days and no fewer than 21 days before the meeting date. So it's up to the director or directors to notify the voting shareholders that there's an annual meeting. They're going to review the financials. They're going to go through the year, whatever it is. Now, if it's just you and you're the director and you're the shareholder and everything, you probably have a meeting with yourself once a year, let's be honest. But, if you got partners and a board and multiple people, this is important. A corporation, right, is where we're having the shareholders from. The corporation should have its shareholders meeting no later than 15 months after holding the last preceding annual meeting. So it should be, of course, every year or so, but it can also be 6 months after. So as short as 6 months, but as long as 15 months at the very longest. Just try to have it every year would make it easier, obviously. Now, annual shareholders meetings must have on the agenda at a minimum. Here's the 3 things it must have on its agenda. Consideration of the financial statements, like we talked about. Appointment of an auditor or electing to not have an audit done. And election of directors. Are you keeping the same directors that year? Okay. The annual meeting can be held in Canada at a space specified in the bylaws. If the bylaws do not specify location, the directors can choose one. Again, people have asked me, well, can we go to Bahamas to have our shareholders meeting? If your shareholders are all in Bahamas and you're the only one here and you got to go meet them, sure. But if they're all here, you can't all go there to have your meeting and write it off. It doesn't work that way, right? So it depends on where you're all located, obviously. If you have to travel in different places in Canada because everybody's in different places, it's fine. But a lot of times they're being done by Zoom and things now, right? Annual and special meetings also have other requirements related to quorum. Electronic voting and minutes of the meeting. No business that is binding the corporation can be deducted at an annual or special shareholders meeting unless a quorum of shareholders is present, and that quorum is inside the bylaws typically. Unless your corporation's bylaws specifically forbid it, electronic voting is allowed. Okay. And number 3, your corporation must keep a written record of the meeting. You're going to keep minutes. Who's the secretary? You're going to keep the minutes. You're going to make sure, right? And if we're changing directors, did we approve the financials? Those are all things that you can have resolutions that go inside the minute book as well. You should always have a resolution for your annual meeting that goes in your minute book once a year. If you got any questions on shareholders meetings or any of these other material, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for being a part of our business tips, and we'll see you in the next video.